The Jews also lived in Medina. And so it is likely when Israel makes the effort to extend the territorial frontiers of the state to encompass the biblical frontiers, it is possible that there will be an attack on Medina, in addition to one to Egypt. And then Israel takes control of the Suez Canal. Israel controls the oil of the Gulf. I want to suggest to you that Israel is planning that big war. And Israel will use weapons of war never used before in history. I want to suggest to you, as I did yesterday, that Israel cannot make that move while a significant military threat still remains in the hands of Muslims. And so the Pakistani nuclear weapons and the Pakistani nuclear plants have to be destroyed by the hook or by the crook. And the invasion of Afghanistan from 9/11, in consequence of 9/11, is part and parcel of a big plan to eventually destroy Pakistan nuclear weapons. And all the maneuverings taking place now, because that is the target. In December of 2001, just 2 months or 3 months after 9/11, I published a booklet entitled A Muslim Response to the Attack on America. We've got the booklet here. And in that booklet, I argued that the target is Pakistan's nuclear plants and nuclear weapons. I also argued that in order for them to be able to move in and destroy Pakistan's nuclear plants and nuclear weapons, they will have to provoke civil war in Pakistan. And that's what they're trying to do now. If elements within the Pakistan armed forces were to rebel against the military command in Pakistan and the government, and fighting were to break out within the Pakistan armed forces, that would be the cue for them to move in to save the world from a nuclear threat.
In a letter to Mazzini dated August 15, 1871, Pike graphically outlined a blueprint for 3 planned world wars. World War I would weaken, topple, and destroy the powerful Tsarist government in Russia. World War II would pit Great Britain against Germany, destroy Nazism, and create the Zionist state of Israel. World War III would be ignited by fueling aggression between the Zionists of Israel and the Arab world, who would eventually destroy one another. Social, political, and economic chaos would then force the masses to accept one world army and one world government.
And the same people run America as run Britain, as run Germany, etc. They have funded many, many times both sides in wars. And ironically and sickeningly, behind me, opposite the Bank of England, in the center of this square, is a memorial to those who died in the 2 world wars. Let's just go and have a look at that. What happens in terms of creating wars is a technique, a mind manipulation technique that I call in my books problem, reaction, solution. But through this technique of problem, reaction, solution, you can actually manipulate people to demand you do what you want to do anyway.
That agenda, the military mission statement of a right-wing think tank, the Project for the New American Century. Written a year before 9/11, it's supported by key members of the current Bush administration.
The drafting was supervised by Cheney, by Donald Rumsfeld, by Paul Wolfowitz, by Jeb Bush, who's the president's younger brother, and by Lewis Libby, who's Cheney's chief of staff. This is about control over Middle East oil. It indicates that America is aiming for global leadership, both military and economically, and what it says, I think, is chilling. It says if we are going to transform America into tomorrow's dominant force, that's their phrase, then it's going to be a long process unless there is a catastrophic and catalyzing event, like Pearl Harbor.
And it works like this. Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution. And it works like this.
If you tell the people they have an external enemy, they'll follow you anywhere.
Anywhere. They are 99% certain at this point that Osama bin Laden is behind today's terrorist attacks.
Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution.
The New World Order better stop carrying out terror attacks. We've caught them over 200 times in the last 100 years. Western governments doing this. Hitler did it, the Russians did it, the British do it. Look at America. It's turning into a police state.
Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution. And it works like this. And it works like this.
With regard to 7/7, there's been a witness report in which somebody who was on one of the tube trains says that he didn't see a man with a rucksack. In fact, after the explosion, what he saw was metal pointing upward from the bottom of the carriage. That would indicate, of course, that the bomb was not carried onto the tube train, but was in fact attached underneath it.
Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution.
Saddam Hussein has got weapons of mass destruction, and his
weapons of mass destruction program is active, detailed, and growing.
There's no doubt that Saddam Hussein now has weapons of mass destruction.
No doubt at all that we will find evidence of weapons of mass destruction.
Saddam Hussein is a homicidal dictator who is addicted to weapons of mass destruction.
This is Aaron Russo, a filmmaker and former politician. To his left is Nicholas Rockefeller of the infamous Rockefeller banking and business dynasty. After maintaining a close friendship with Nicholas Rockefeller, Aaron eventually ended the relationship, appalled by what he had learned about the Rockefellers and their ambitions.
I got a call one day from an attorney woman I knew, and she said, "Would you like to meet one of the Rockefellers?" I said, "Sure, I'd love to." And we became friends, and he began to divulge a lot of things to me. So he said to me one night, he said that there's going to be an event there, and out of that event, you're going to see we're going to go into Afghanistan, so we can run pipelines from the Caspian Sea. We're going to go into Iraq to take the oil and establish a base in the Middle East, and we're going to go into Venezuela and try and get rid of Chavez. And the first two they've accomplished. Chavez they didn't accomplish. And he said you're going to see guys going into caves looking for people that they're never going to find. You know, he was laughing about the fact that you have this war on terror. There's no real enemy. He's talking about how by having this war on terror, you can never win it, because so it's an eternal war, and so you can always keep taking people's liberties away. And I said, how are you going to convince people that this war is real? He said, but the media can convince everybody it's real. I mean, you know, it's just that you keep talking about things, you keep saying it over and over and over again, and eventually people believe it. And then I said to him, what are the ultimate goals here? He said, the ultimate goal is to get everybody in this world chipped with the RFID chip, and have all money be on those chips and everything on those chips. And if anybody wants to protest what we do or violate what we want, we just turn off their chip.
That's right, microchipped. ID tracking chip is already in all new American passports. And the final step is the implanted chip, which many people have already been manipulated into accepting under different pretenses.
We have a Florida family who are really pioneers in a brave new world. They have volunteered to be the first ever to have microchip identification devices implanted into their body.
After 9/11, I was really concerned with the security of my family.
I wouldn't mind having something planted permanently in my arm that would identify me.
In the end, everybody will be locked into a monitored control grid where every single action you perform is documented. And if you get out of line, they can just turn off your chip, for at that point in time, every single aspect of society will revolve around interactions with the chips. This is the picture that is painted for the future if you open your eyes to see it. A centralized one-world economy where everyone's moves and everyone's transactions are tracked and monitored, all rights removed.
So what the Military Commissions Act does is, in a stroke, it strips the detainees of the right to challenge their own detention and treatment, or even see the evidence against them.
If that person is going to be tried, they're not going to be tried in front of a regular court like we're familiar with, but in front of a special court called the Military Commission. They can be done in secrecy, evidence from torture can be used, at a death penalty. Essentially, a person could be tried and executed without anybody in this country knowing about him, and the whole thing could happen on an aircraft carrier.
The military tribunals are kangaroo courts, modeled after Stalin's show trials and Hitler's people's courts, where similarly the accused couldn't hear the evidence against them. In an open society of due process, right? That means that they have to be able to accuse you of something that you've done. In a closed society, your innocence doesn't protect you. Most chillingly, the Military Commissions Act expanded the definition of enemy combatant to include any innocent U.S. citizen.
Right now, the President of the United States, any president to come, can say to any one of us sitting here, anyone out on the street, you're an enemy combatant. This damage has been done to pull the last threads out, to make it look like a democracy, but make sure that essentially the pendulum cannot swing.
Does the pendulum swing back? Can it? Will it?
Well, unfortunately, civil liberties don't swing back like other issues. Civil liberties is a very precious commodity. When you lose them, it tends to run out of your hand like sand, and it's hard to get it back.
And stop complying with the system. Understand that there truly is no division among the people of the world. No matter who they are or where they are from, we are all people and we are all one. It is through the constantly promoted illusion of division that the system is able to function. But in order for it to do so, it needs public compliance. Stop complying and you will shut the system down.
The window is closing, but it hasn't closed. And if we rise up together, there's no force on earth that can restrain us.